What is going on, guys? DBG here. In this video we're going to be doing the history of the market or auction house in all NBA 2K My Teams from 2K13 to 2K18. Not all of this footage is mine, so I will be leaving a link to any video that isn't mine. Well, actually, I don't think any of this footage is mine, so I will be leaving a link to all of these videos in the description anyway if you want to check them out. But yeah, so this is the history of the auction house. So we basically had the auction house from 2K15 onwards, and it was the market before that. And before we get into the main part of this video, if you guys want to win a free copy of NBA 2K19, the 20th anniversary edition, I'm going to be giving away 2 copies, one on my own Twitter, one on the MTR Twitter. A link to that will be in the description. Well, a link to both the Twitters will be in the description. And the pin tweet on each of these Twitters will have the instructions for entering the giveaway. So anyway, yeah, we're giving away 2 free copies of 2K19 20th anniversary edition. And anyway, now let's get on to the video. So in NBA 2K13, you could actually buy and sell players based on how well they played in real life. For all historic players, they actually all sold for like, I think it was the bare minimum, which I think was like 500 VC. For the gold ones anyway, it's 500 VC. But basically, these cards were upgrade and downgrade throughout the season based on how well they played. And then there was players like Andre Drummond who started off as bronze and had really good rookie years. And suddenly they were bumped up a lot in ratings. And there was a lot of weird ones like, that was the year where Blake Griffin was like he was an MVP candidate in 2013. And then all of a sudden, like, he was one of the cheaper gold players. Didn't really make much sense. And then, like, Al Horford and Drew Holiday were the highest rated, which was a little bit weird. So, it's supposed to be done based on how they played in real life, but a lot of it was just kind of very, very confusing to me anyway, from what I look back on. But, yeah, it was the first time we got a chance to buy and sell players. And to be fair, because of the fact that a lot of the cards, you'd be selling cards back with no tax, you could often just switch your squad game after game. If you didn't use signature series cards or signature skills cards, you could literally swap game after game after game all of your cards, and it wouldn't actually cost you anything because they all have the same VC value if you did that in the same day. But yeah, that was the 2K13 market. Very, very bare bones, but it was a good start. 2K14. Do not get me started on the market in this game. I love this game. I absolutely love this game. But like, there was literally no way to get most of these cards unless, there was no way other than packs and challenges and completing like all the players to get any cards in this game. Like literally, you needed packs. There was no rewards for completing any of the collections, but like now we're talking about the market, not necessarily the collections. I just saw Emeka Okafor there. Did not realize he was still playing at that stage. But basically, the only way you could get cards was by packs. The market barely changed that year. Like players, the previous year had gone consistently up and down in value based on their performances in real life. The market in NBA 2K14 Next Gen as well, they barely went up and down. Most of them stayed the exact same, even if they were playing lots in real life. So there was very, very little in the auction house, to be completely honest. It was it was more bare bones than 2K13. And the fact you couldn't buy any players from the market meant that the only way to get players is in packs. Last gen was equally as bad. Like, it was genuinely equally as bad. At least in this one, you could get specific cards because they had the team packs for each individual team. But as much as I loved NBA 2K14, this was the worst ever market. I don't even think you can call it a market. You could just discard players if you packed dupes or you wanted to discard them. That was it. The only way you could sell a player was by discarding it. Albeit they did discard for quite a lot of MT at the time. That's all you could do was discard these players. So yeah, definitely the worst of all the markets in NBA 2K. And now we're on to NBA 2K15. So NBA 2K15 was just crazy when it came to the auction house. This was the first year of the auction house, and it was actually one of the easiest times to trade. Like, I don't mean snipey, I mean like buying low, selling high, like getting cards for a lot under value on bids. It was actually easiest here to trade, even though it did a 15% tax. Yep, you were taxed 15% on every single card you sold. 10% is even too much. It genuinely should be 5%. But basically, this was still a huge step forward for the time. As I explained with 2K14, it was so bad. There was literally no way to buy players, and you could only discard your duplicate players. While you could only do that in 2K13 as well, 2K13 was a little bit better. But 2K15, we finally had a chance to get rid of our duplicate players. There were cards in this auction house, such as the Onyx T-Mac, that I think went for like 600, 700k. towards the end of the year, I don't think there was any cards over like 300, 400. I had that on his team at the end of the year. I think he sold for around the 300k mark. But yeah, this was our first kind of taste of the auction house in NBA 2K My Team. And as far as I remember, it refreshed every 15 minutes and wasn't an instant refresh, which meant that it was probably easier for sniping. But to be fair, like, I didn't get much success sniping too much. Like, you would actually have some really good snipe filters because you would search for all the individual stats. You could search for basically every individual stat to be a certain overall. So it was really easy to snipe for specific players or snipe for a specific type of player. But I don't think there was too many that did it this year. And while there was the guys that really did take advantage of the auction house, could really take advantage of it, most people didn't. The fact that the reason why most people had a lot of MT was due to the MT glitch, which Shake and Bake made a video about. And I can't believe I still can't believe to this day people blame Shake. Like, it was something that had been going on for months and months. And then Shake just decided to make a video telling people about it. And then people made millions of MT and people blamed Shake for everything. But anyway, that's not really the point. But yeah, this was the first time we had the auction house. While it was definitely flawed, it wasn't too bad, to be honest. In NBA 2K16, they actually lowered the tax to 10% from what I can remember. And in my opinion, the best thing about the auction house in this game was that they had equal amounts of the filters. You could filter so many things when you're searching for player overalls. This was the year where sniping really became a thing because I think it was a gold and then offense and consistency over 91 until like November or December. Those cards all sold for like 3 or 4k each, unless I think it was Brook, or was it Millsap or Brook Lopez? One of those was the only ones that didn't. Those cards all sold for a decent amount each, and they could be easily enough sniped. Another reason why I really liked the auction house in this game was because of the discard values. Silver cards discarded for 800 or for 750 minimum coins to 850. Gold cards were a minimum of 1,000 coins, and I think bronze cards were like 250. So you were getting at least 250 coins if you were discarding a player. But every card sold because of the way Road to the Playoffs was, and the fact that in the first couple of seeds you had to use bronze players, you only use 1 silver. In the next couple of seeds you only use 3 golds. Because of that, it meant that bronzes and silvers retained their value, and the high overall silver players, especially at the start of the game, actually went for a lot of MT. Cards like Rudy Gobert, Mario Hezonja, Kristaps went for 3 to 4k each, which was crazy that year. And the discard values meant that, say, silver cards never went down to minimum buy now. Silver cards never didn't sell like they did in other years, so that was really good in my opinion. In terms of high overall cards, I'm not even sure if there was a cap. I think the cap might have been 10 million. I could be wrong with that, but I think the cap for putting up buy nows was 10 million, which is crazy because the next year they decided to drop it from, I think, 10 million to 100k, which is absolutely crazy of a drop. But that's what 2K did from 2K16 to 17. In NBA 2K17, they completely changed the auction house. Obviously, there was still the 15-minute delay between players, but basically, they lowered all of the discard values. All of a sudden, gold cards now discarded for 500 coins. Silver cards discarded for like 200, I think, and bronzes for like 100. Cards like sapphires, I think, discarded for 700, 800. Rubies, I think, were 850, 900. And then, obviously, you weren't going to discard an amethyst, but I think it was around 1,000 MT. And also with the fact that there was no need for bronze and silvers in My Team Online, it basically meant that those cards had 0 value. And from very early, as soon as those current collections stopped being worthwhile, those silvers and bronze cards sold for almost nothing. Also, they decided to lower the max buy now to 100k MT. That didn't stop cards going to 100k MT. It just completely wrecked the market because, for example, if a card was really rare, went for over 100k MT, and you happen to be outbid last second, you could be waiting 5 or 6 hours for the next card to come up. And the auction house then wait another minimum 4 hours for that card to finish in the auctions. There were still cards that went for 500,000 plus, like the T-Mac. But yeah, like 2K17's auction house was just, it was the beginning of the downfall for 2K in the auction house anyway. And because of the 100k buy now, it actually allowed for a lot of sniping. So guys who were really good at sniping really benefited from what they did to the auction house. Because a lot of guys put like the best diamonds up for 100k because they didn't realize that they could go higher than that. They thought that was the max. So people who pulling these diamonds, you get them for 100k, put them up for bid and sell them for 600 or 700k, which is a common thing. So for snipers, this was a great game. NBA 2K18 auction house. The worst, in my opinion. They did one single positive, and it was that it no longer refreshed every 15 minutes. It now refreshed every hour. So not every hour. It now refreshed like every minute or every couple of seconds. So basically, with NBA 2K18, they kept the 100k buyout, which just made everything really complicated. It just meant that it was really hard to get certain cards, and if you were outbid again, it would take hours. But it did lower the price of cards slightly, I guess. They lowered all of the discard values again, meaning that these cards had less value. I think gold cards went down to like 125 discard after being 500 last year. And silver cards, after being 800 in 2K16, were down to like 100, which was an absolute joke. Even diamond cards barely discard for 1,000 coins. This meant that all of these cards lost their value when they were pack loads. It meant that no silver cards sold later in the year. It meant that no gold cards would sell. These cards, literally, there were so many cards you couldn't sell in the auction house. In previous years, you could at least discard for more than the minimum, or you could sell them for slightly above. Every card used to sell, but because of the discard values, there was hundreds of cards in the game that just wouldn't sell towards the end of the year. Even from the start of the year, there was hundreds of them that wouldn't sell. So the auction house in 2K18 was just an absolute shambles. Like, it was just... obviously, later in the year, I'm not really counting that as being awful, because later on in the year, you just never know what's going to happen. There were so many cards pulled, so many packs pulled, that it ruined the auction house anyway. But this auction house was ruined from the start. This auction house was doomed the day they lowered the discard values that low. And I am hoping that is something that's changed in 2K19, because you don't realize it, but the discard values being as low as they were in this game is a huge, huge negative for the auction house. It means the value of every single pack is lower than it should be as well. So anyway, that's the video. This is the history of the market or auction house in every NBA 2K game. Hopefully it improves in 2K19, because the last 2 years they've really killed it by lowering discard values. And in my opinion, the 100k buy now price really, really negatively affects the market, especially for rare cards, as you might take 5 or 6 days to get one of these cards because of the way it's done right now. So anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.